Tonight on High School Scoreboard Live, the H&H Town stands for huge, big-time games out of the Space City. Lamar in the biggest test of the season. Craig Way will tell you about Lake Travis and how they might be the best one-loss team in the state. Our DQ Big Game of the Week comes from East Texas, Katie Cannon Country, one of the best receivers in the entire nation, and a quarterback that's shattering the school's record books. And we'll start talking playoff scenarios right now on High School Scoreboard Live. Welcome into Week 9 as the regular season is winding down. Oh, my goodness, you dressed up as the czar of pigskin. Craig Way here a day after Halloween. I'm Rick Renner. What a night. We got rivalry games, district championships won, playoff implications as we celebrate the contenders from the pretenders, the Battle of 114, the Border Bowl, the M&M Bowl, the Par Bowl. Nutty stuff after Halloween.
Well, remember last year when we were talking about how crazy things were and there was the possibility maybe of a team that only had one win in the season getting in? That was a possibility. This year, it's an almost virtual probability that not one, but two teams with only one win will be playoff teams in a couple of weeks. We'll tell you about it a little later on.
And they can run the table and win the state championship at 7-9. How about that? All right, well, we start in H-Town, where Clear Lake beat Clear Falls last night in double overtime. Carrying the torch for the Houston ISD is Houston Lamar and their sensational playmakers, Colbert, Wesley, and Whiting. Ronnie Wesley is one of the most exciting running backs in the nation. It looks like he's playing flag football because he'll go 80 yards and a touchdown and go untouched. This Lamar team looks even stronger than the one that got to the state title game last year. Trayvon Smith in the end zone. Tip drill is on, and Courtney Lark somehow comes down with it. A great one with Houston Lamar, or at Bel Air, I should say. And Ronnie Wesley, here he is. I'm telling you, the guy's never touched. Oh, he got touched there. Well, he goes 20 yards. And then Lamar quarterback Darrell Colbert will take it in from 6 yards on the keeper. Colbert can do this with his legs and his arms. And then he'll go to the air to Justin Holly. And it's a holly jolly touchdown. 30 yards, sweet score there. Bel Air would answer. Xavier Campbell hurdling defenders into the end zone, and the score. But Lamar too much. Ronnie Wesley at it again. He'll take the handoff, makes a nice cut, and he will get in for the score. 28-21. Lamar head coach Tom Nolan always has his Redskins rolling into the playoffs 27 times in the last 29 years. First Houston ISD team to make it to the state final last year. In another H-Town district showdown, the 10th ranked Pearland Oilers came in unbeaten, and they get whacked by the Manville. Wow, kind of a surprise, but then again, Manville, only one quality win. All their opponents were 17-47 in that 8-0 start. Big win for the Mavs.
Well, if it's possible to have a quiet 8-1 season, then the Lake Travis Cavaliers have had just that. A narrow season-opening loss to Converse Judson is the only blemish on an otherwise outstanding season. And while the record-setting drive for 5 consecutive 4A state championships was put to bed 2 seasons ago, the Cavs are eager to have their own drive in 5, as in 5A. And to have it be more successful than last year's first-round exit in their first year as a 5A program. Westlake, the longtime standard bearer in the greater Austin area, was eager to reclaim the district title tonight as the Chaparrals travel to Lakeway to renew. Rawlings to put the Chaps up 7. Lake Travis answers right back. Dominic DeLira with time, and then finds Dominic Packer in stride. Dominic to Dominic. Game tied at 7. Later in the first, after a tip punt, Packer will scoop up the ball in a quickie bounce at the 50, and no stopping him. Up the sideline, takes it in for 6. Lake Travis is up 14-7. Chaparrals come back. Alex Chavez turns the corner. Lake Travis was trailing 27-14 going into the fourth quarter, and look at that. Cavs come back, 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns, and they clinch the district title. They win 28-27 over Westlake, so the record is 9-1, and they finish regular season play with a bye next week. How about a matchup in Round Rock between the new kids? Well, first of all, this one in Cedar Park between Cedar Park and Vista Ridge. And, of course, that's Nate Grimm taking it in. You recognize him. Gives the T-Wolf fans an early lead. And then Grimm wanting to show off his arm as he fires the touchdown pass. 14-0. Vista Ridge tries to fight back. Tyler Harris on the run takes it down to the 1, and then Daquan Patton will take it in for the score, but just too much Cedar Park on this night. That's been the story all season long in District 25 4A. T-Wolves wrap up the district title. They beat Vista Ridge 35-21.
In North Texas, the #1 team in Class 4A continues to rock and roll. No word or not if there's any bullying charges for this one. But #1 Aledo, 72-6. How about it? They're 9-0. You can't blame those guys. Coach Buchanan says it's one of the best teams he's ever had, and that's saying something thinking about Jonathan Gray and those 3 straight state championships with him. So with that, let's gander at the top 10 in Class 4A and how they fared tonight. Hey, wanted to mention the Parr Bowl in Amarillo. Dad Steve Parr of Palo Duro coached the school's 150th win over his son, Seth Parr, the head coach at Caprock. Pretty impressive. I guess they were par for the course.
Yeah, there you go. And no other surprises when you look down the 4A top 10. Some impressive things. Elgin wrapped up the district title last night with their win over Bastrop. Friendship put 10 touchdowns on the board against Lubbock High. Cal Allen, yes, Phil Danaher gets another win there. And Denton Geyer wraps up a district title by beating Wichita Falls, beating Old High tonight. So, you know, that's where that is in terms of the top 10. However, let's go back to the greater Austin area there for a moment. We're talking about Lake Travis and Westlake. Now, here's an example of how things get in the trickle-down effect. Lake Travis and Westlake, last year, one goes Division I, one goes Division II. This year, it looks like Aikens is going to make the playoffs for the first time ever. In order to do that, the Eagles must win next week over winless Anderson. But assuming they do, and with Bowie already headed to the playoffs, what this means, Rick, is that you'll have Aikens and Bowie go the Division I route.
Wow.
Both Lake Travis and Westlake would drop into the Division II bracket.
Wow.
And because of their 1-point loss tonight, that means Westlake would draw undefeated and state-ranked Hendrickson in the bi-district round.
Wow, that's not very fair. You would think it'd be easier. You go down to District 2, but here it is. That's what I love about this time of the year.
No doubt. And we're going to have a lot of that stuff happen throughout, sifting through it this weekend, and then next week, week 10, that's where we'll see a lot of crazy stuff happen. Like we said, a little later on, we'll explain to you about how it looks very likely that you could have not one, but 2 teams get into the playoffs with a 1-9 record. Could happen.
Let's take a break. It's off to the Alamo City. We got highlights of several games. #7, Cibolo Steel, looking to continue their winning ways, plus the Converse, Judson, and Alamo Heights games. We're just getting this Halloween party started. You're watching High School Scoreboard Live.
High School Scoreboard Live is brought to you by Ford F-Series, America's best-selling truck for 36 straight years. By Dairy Queen for the best tasting treats, eats, and drinks in Texas. DQ just tastes better. And by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
We roll on in the Alamo City. #1, #7, Cibolo Steel. They've never lost to Corpus Christi Carrollton. They're not about to start. They're just 1 point from an undefeated season. That's Justin Stockton. I think people are going to get happy when they find out he's graduating. 7-0 Steel. He's a 2,000-yard rusher, and there he is again. You see the speed, the vision, the talent. He's going to Texas Tech, and Steel rolls on to the beautiful victory in this one, 45-3.
Keep it at 5A. That means it is New Braunfels Canyon against Converse Judson, and the Rockets not wasting any time. Touchdown pass. Michael Lakai on the receiving end of Rajon Austin Ramsey's pass. 7-0. Next time the Rockets get it, same result, only this time from 58 yards out. Austin Ramsey to Lakai. And the DB thinks he's going in, but he's going out instead. And, you know, he'll keep on going. 14-0 Rockets. Right there, the bounce off. And it was all Judson as the Rockets win this one 38-10.
Alamo Heights hosting 8th-ranked Clemens. The Mules acting like rude hosts in this one. Dalton Banks to Christian Lalinde. And after the great spin, he goes and makes it 7-0. Then Clemens looks to answer. J.J. Elkins finds Jeremy Collins. Nice run before Juan Alvarez and Jay Hargrove combined for the stop. The Mules defense able to get the ball back on the interception. And here's the offense going back to work. Banks to Scott Ewell. This one inside the 10. And it's touchdown time. A couple plays later, Banks to Brandon Watson. He gets in there 31-10, the final in that one. Time now to see what's trending in social media. The day after Halloween, some spooky stuff. And we do that with our 2 trendsetters, the Fox Sports Southwest girls, Kami and Liddy.
Thanks, Rick. You know we always have a blast here on Football Friday, but we have been staying busy keeping up with all the hype on social media and the big matchups, and we are going to go ahead and take a look at some of our favorites.
All right. Let's kick it off with Megan Reed's photo. She says baby powder cloud over the Allen student section during pregame team intro. And this must be a good luck charm, I have to say, for their season, because Allen, after the win tonight, Allen remains undefeated with a 56-7. Wow. And I have to say, that's got to be a pretty good smelling crowd.
I like baby powder, smells good. All right, let's take a look at our second photo. Sent in by Armando. This is a tweet about Port Isabella's running back. With that 48-yard score, the Tarpons' J.J. Gonzalez goes over the 1,000-yard mark for the season.
Wow, that is a huge accomplishment.
Huge accomplishment. Congrats, J.J.
And our next photo, this is a really, really cool story. It was actually posted on our Facebook page. It's just the epitome of Texas high school football right here. Gary Profit is retiring after 34 years of coaching, 27 of them as the head coach of Goldthwaite.
I gotta say, like you said, this is truly what Texas high school football is all about. And one of the reasons that Texans love Friday nights during football season. It's a small town, it's one coach, it's one high school. He spent his entire career. He's won 3 state championships, and tonight he is going for his 250th win.
Wow. Well, we really want to congratulate Gary on an amazing career, and we both want to wish you good luck on your future endeavors. And like Kami said, we have had a blast on Football Friday tonight. And keep sending in those photos for next week using that hashtag TXHSFB, and go to foxsportssouthwest.com/footballfriday. Check out our photo wall and see if your photo made the wall.
Thanks, Rick. Back to you guys.
Fans, keep those tweets going. Very good stuff there. How about Coach Profit? He's been profitable for Goldthwaite. You know, just so great. And by the way, he's rolling into the playoffs, so a good way to go off into the sunset as they got a victory tonight. Great
coach, spent his entire coaching career at Goldthwaite, and a guy who's won 3 state championships. The man basically owns Mills County. I mean, he is Mills County, and he is Goldthwaite. I'll tell you what, Goldthwaite has had pretty famous names. Jody Conrad, the Texas Women's Basketball Hall of Fame coach, and of course Gary Profit, 2 icons of coaching there, and Coach Profit wrapping it up and headed toward the postseason.
And with this win tonight, 250th win in his career. So how sweet was that? Coming up next, the Bill Ford Tough winners. Will highlight those from North Texas. And Corbett Smith of the Dallas Morning News will chime in with his thoughts. You're watching Scoreboard Live. Congratulations to the Bill Ford Tough Player of the Week winners. Atascocita's Greg Campbell continues to put on a show, accounted for over 2,500 yards. The X-Man, Xavier Turner, is putting on Jonathan Gray kind of numbers. 2,000-yard rusher, 40 touchdowns this year. He averages 10 yards a run. It's a first down every time. In 3A, Canton's Chandler Island has a perfect 4.0 GPA. Refurio's Travis Quintanilla is a 2-time winner. Got a good chance of winning the Player of the Year with his video game-like numbers in his career. In Class 1A, 4-sports superstar Nick Williams takes the prize for West Sabine. And in private schools, Jack Johnson of Episcopal School of Dallas, he's got a 4.1 GPA on a scale of 4.0, and he's zeroing in on Harvard. Vote for your favorite player at playeroftheweek.com.
We pop into the north central Texas region, and let's pop into Collin County. See some action between Melissa and Princeton early on. For Princeton's 50 yards up the middle, Trey Johnson, and cuts it outside, takes it in for the score. Princeton's Panthers getting ready to strike again, the middle of the Cardinal defense. This time, it's quarterback Jordan Blake, as Blake takes it in for the long score. But Melissa answers through the air. Remember, the Cardinals just a couple of years removed from that state title. And it's Tyler West and J.C. Cottrell. Takes it in for the score, but Princeton gets the win over Melissa, 45-35.
Craig, Thursday night, Arlington Martin played under the crowd of possible forfeits. More on that in a moment. As they played Arlington Sand Houston early on, Eric Walker fakes the handoff, goes deep to J.R. Amaji. G. Martin rolling early on, but later on, running back Nick Smith, check him out on the misdirection. You got to love this play. He scoots around the right end, and he will find 6. Martin in control throughout this one. Smith would not be done there. Here he is off the toss, and he'll score from short range. Pretty tough to stop that guy when he's got blockers in front. And Myles Garrett, we talk about him all year. He's a Ford winner on the defensive side of the ball. He'll tackle Dalen Woods in the backfield there. And one more time, how about Nick Smith? 52-13. Nick on the spot again as he gets around the side, gets in for the end zone, and they went big over Sam Houston. Well, let's bring in Corbett Smith of the Dallas Morning News. Corbett, you were all over the District 3 5A committee rulings this week. Martin forced to forfeit 3 wins because of an ineligible player, which would kick them out of the playoffs. There's an appeal going, so how do you see this playing out?
Well, you know, when you get to the state executive committee, rarely do you find things overturned, but I think that Martin probably has as good a case as anybody. I've never seen a situation like this where a PAPF form, a previous athletic participation form, was submitted to the school with all the boxes checked yes. The player was eligible, got on the field, played 3 games. The district office comes back and says, the coach needs to refill this form out from Arlington, the transferring school. He gets that form, checks a couple of boxes, no, submits it to Bob Wager there at Arlington Martin, and the player's pulled off the field, and then they have to retroactively forfeit those games. Seems a little bit backward. I think Wager has a case where he didn't delve into, he made a courtesy phone call to Scott Peach, the Arlington coach, didn't delve into why the player was transferring or what the issues were, only that there was an issue. Then the executive committee at the district level really took that to mean that Wager probably should have done a little bit more due diligence there. But when you get those transfer forms, coaches are getting lots of transfer forms week after week, you know, especially early in the season and in the off season. It might put a little bit more burden on those coaches if they're going to have to go and double and triple check to make sure that those players are eligible. Wager said himself, if he was going to put his team's playoff hopes in jeopardy, if he knew he was going to do that with this midseason transfer, he wouldn't have put him on the field.
Corbett, let's go to another off-the-field issue that happened because of something on the field, and that's Allen quarterback Kyler Murray. Now, the Eagles had no trouble tonight with McKinney, but Murray injured. What's the story as you understand it right now?
As I understand it, he has a bruised foot, but his foot was in a walking boot, and if this is anything more than just a bruise, then that upsets the apple cart in the Division I playoffs. I don't think there's any question that Allen and DeSoto are really 1 and 2 as far as the top 2 teams in the state that will be going Division I. But if Allen does not have Kyler Murray, that really even changes what might happen in Region 1, because you've got teams like the Woodlands, like Skyline, like potentially Spring Westfield that could go Division 1. All those 3 teams are real salty teams and could give Allen a real significant challenge even to make the semifinals to potentially face DeSoto again. So really it's uncertain at this point whether or not that injury will come into effect in the playoffs, but it could matter even in the district, because Plano has played really well, and Plano gave them a very strong challenge last year. It was a real close game until late, and if Plano pulls off the upset and Plano East fails to make the playoffs, that makes Plano the top seed in Division I, and Allen would actually be the 2nd seed, the runner-up in the Division I playoffs, which is unthought of really going into this week.
Wow, absolutely incredible to think about that, putting it forward and what it means come playoff time. I think some of the teams will be licking their chops. Thanks for the knowledge, buddy. Check out Corbett Smith and the kicker, David Newberry, as we simulcast their radio show in Dallas on 1310 The Ticket at 11 o'clock, leading up to Scoreboard Live. Well, let's take a break on the show. Coming up next, it's off to H-Town, where the hits just keep on coming. North Shore and LaPorte play for keeps. Plus, Ahmad Vital will give us his thoughts on the night in the greater Houston area after this.
We take it a little south of San Antonio. Dilley and Poth, the Poth Pirates, ready to strike early and often in this one. Thomas Kravitz goes 43 yards for the Poth touchdown. And the Pirate defense, equally good. They really would shut down the Wolves all night long. Pirates get on the scoreboard. Pretty complete game. Poth blanks Dilley 35-0.
I just wish Dilley's nickname was the Bars. It's your joke. I mean, we have Dairy Queen in the show. How about Galena Park North Shore, number 4 and rolling to 9-0, 38-0 over a strong LaPorte team. Pretty impressive win by the Stangs. And with that, let's bring in the source of H-Town football, Ahmad Vital of Scout.com, who joins us on the phone now. Ahmad, you were at that game. Your impressions?
My impression North Shore is for sure the real deal. Not that I really needed much more validation in knowing that, but that team just completely clobbered LaPorte. LaPorte had 66 yards of total offense, while while North Shore just came out, Tristan Houston at the running back position really needs to be considered as one of the top backs in the area. 19 carries for 204 yards and 3 touchdowns, running behind a strong line. Tyler Moore, Najee Terrain, and Trevon Tate. Those guys were opening up holes left and right, and these guys just ran all the way down their throat, made a lot of plays. And, of course, Zach Whitley heading on to Alabama, and also Christian Jacobs had a couple of turnovers as well. I mean, this North Shore team was hitting on all cylinders, has playmakers all around. TV and DeLeon got his hand on a couple of passes as well, and this team was just rolling, and LaPorte never stood a chance in this game.
Ahmad, the other big result out of the greater Houston area that certainly opened eyes was the big win for Manville over a previously undefeated and 10th-ranked Pearland team. The fact that Manville beat Pearland probably doesn't shock a lot of folks, but the margin of victory, I think, really stunned some people. How about you?
It does, Craig. And I'll tell you what, I think going into this game, I mean, Pearland had already pitched like 4 shutouts this year and was giving up less than a touchdown a game. And, you know, when we were watching the scores, it was, 21-7, 14-7. Next thing you know, it's like 42-7, and you're just like, what's going on here? That's the defense of Pearland has been kind of the calling card of the team and get some things done. So, I mean, it looks like Derek King just had an all-star day. I mean, the kid had about, almost 500 yards of offense by himself and 5 touchdowns. But I was really surprised to see Pearland go down this way. I thought there would be more of a competitive game, and it was actually a game I was considering going to. And well, I guess either way, I would have seen a blowout.
Well, speaking of a team that's been blowing out a lot of people this year, how about Houston-Lamar? They were the first Houston ISD team to get to the state championship game in 20 years last year. As I look at them, I think they almost look like they're stronger than that team last year. What do you make out of them?
Rick, I do think that this Lamar team is a bit stronger than last year's squad, which is saying a lot because there was a lot of guys who ended up who are playing on Saturdays right now who came off of that team. But I can tell you what, that secondary over there is as good as it's going to get. There's a stable of backs. Daryl Colbert's playing good ball right now. I'm quite surprised at this score as well. I'd already made the statement before that I thought that Lamar would just, pretty much run through everybody up until it got time for the playoffs. But as we know, winning is tough week in and week out going against teams. And when you're a team like Lamar, you're the team that's circled for everybody every week. So Bel Air obviously circled Lamar, pushed that team very close to the edge. But Lamar did what it needed to do, came out with the win, 28-21. And I can tell you what, Lamar now is going to continue to do the good things that they're doing in the city and winning more ball games.
Thanks, Ahmad. Check him out at scout.com. He's also a #1 bookseller, too, by the way. He's always on the pulse of the greater Houston area. Break time on Scoreboard Live. Coming up next, we'll head to Texoma. S&S consolidated in a showdown with Gunner. And we'll check El Paso, Austin, so much more. Scoreboard Live rolls on in a moment.
Up to the Texoma region, and that means a battle of district unbeatens. Gunner against S&S Consolidated. Quick quiz, what does the S&S stand for there, Rick Renner?
Steven Susan?
Close. Sadler and South Maid. And it was in Sadler early on there. Willie Winbone puts it in for the first score. Rams lead 7-0, but Gunner looks to answer. Seth Brewer takes it in for the score. They tack on a 2-point conversion. Tigers up 8-7. Rams fight right back the second quarter. It's Willie Winbone again for a first down. The drive results in 6. And how about the Rams of the two communities, the scenic communities there on Highway 56? They get the win, 28-14. Moving it on as we continue, and this one, the matchup going on.
It's El Paso. It's the Americas and El Dorado getting it on. And look at this beautiful place. LaDerrick Wilson completing there. 48 yards on the touchdown. It's 13-0 Aztecs. Then the Americas. It's Drennan. 49-yard touchdown run there. They go back and forth. A lot of emotions here. A lot of families on both schools. And they, go on to win it. El Dorado, how about a 51-29, the final in that one. And then a great one between Montwood and El Paso Coronado. After the coin flip, it got very, very heated. Warren Redix on the Wildcat run. That made it 7-0 Montwood. Montwood, man, they've been so good. They beat Odessa Permian earlier this year. Mickey Courtney to Austin Edens, who eats more, and he will get in for the touchdown. That made it 7-7. But in the end, in the battle of Montwood and Coronado, it's a 1-point win for Coronado. How about that?
We go back down to the greater Austin area, and that means in District 25 4A, we told you about Cedar Park earlier. How about Rouse and Vandergrift? Bad snap for Rouse as this one goes over the head and into the end zone for a safety. Back, however, come the Raiders on the move in the Viper defense. Sammy Suggs with a sack. Vandegrift's D, however, shutting out Rouse in the first half. Vipers led 5-0 after the break with a solo shot and a grand slam. But it's Vandegrift comes back. They get the win 14-9. We move on. Hutto taking on Manor. Manor, of course, only has the one loss, the Mustangs, to Elgin this season, and they look good tonight. They go up early. Jamal Collins going deep to Lindemann Brooks, 70-yard touchdown. Manor wasn't done. They tack on another, and you see that. Manor's heading to the postseason. They beat the Hippos 41-7. And LBJ and Travis, this district, 26-4A, wrapped up its entire regular season this weekend, and LBJ wrapped up its trip to the playoffs by dispatching of Travis as well. As the Rebels try to fight back on a touchdown pass, but it's the Jags coming back, and a big one as the Jags are averaging close to 52 points per game, and they win it big, 65-28. Both these teams up here headed for the postseason, however.
Let's take a look at the top 10 in Class 5A. The #1 team in the land continues to roll. Allen, now 9-0. The defending state champs finish at Plano next week. The big news there, quarterback Kyler Murray, we told you earlier, hurt in the game in a boot, but we're hearing he's okay. Craig, you got to get Longview ranked. They loboed up and whipped Tyler Lee 63-7 on Thursday and took sole possession of the 12-5A crown for the 9th time in 10 years. How about those Lobos?
They're heading toward the playoffs on a roll. And we mentioned the one big number there, Pearland falling by 35 points to Manville tonight. That was the biggest part.
Yeah, kind of a surprise, but at the same time, their schedule, they only had one team that they beat that had a winning record at 5-3.
I think that the big surprise, obviously, is the defense, and we heard Ahmad Vital talking about it earlier. They'd already pitched 3 shutouts, and for them not only to not win the game, but to give up 42 points, that surprised some folks with the Oilers' struggle. But Manville, very, very explosive. I think we expected that team to be rolling into the playoffs as well, and so they both head to the postseason.
Break time on Scoreboard Live. Coming up next, we will travel to the Permian Basin and check in on the old Southwest Conference rivalry, Odessa Permian and Midland Lee, and we'll check on the Coastal Bend, the Panhandle regions, if you keep it where it is.
Go to SoberRides.org. Make your game plan before kickoff. TxDOT reminds you to get a sober ride, not the DWI.
Let's roll out the Bill Ford Tough Player of the Week watch list. These are some of the top candidates who could win the honor. Alex Bell is a stud two-way player at Midland Lee. Trayvon Benton can flat-out fly from Lubbock, Monterey. Rod Bernard of Sharpstown can catch anything in his vicinity. And how about Trey Hart, who plays with Hart out of Dallas First Baptist? And Texas Tech-bound Ian Sadler has Argyle out to an unbeaten season. Vote for your favorite player at playeroftheweek.com.
We're moving on out to the Permian Basin region and the most fearsome rivalries, the old one between Midland Lee and Odessa Permian, and Lee striking first. There's the aforementioned Alex Bell on the receiving end of that touchdown pass there from Caden Coots. 7-0 Rebels. Permian strikes right back. Heathwood to Malik Shinsako. Over the middle, the drag route, got some speed, finds a sideline. Game tied at 7. Panthers threatening again in the red zone. Wood can't find anyone, drops it off. But in a bit of a scrum, the ball is fumbled. Lee gets it right back. Rebels don't waste the opportunity. Again, Bell on the receiving end, but look at that final as Permian roars back and they win it, beating Lee 42-21. Midland High and Odessa High. In the first, it is Goodwin connecting with Mazel Justice on the slant. Midland High on top by a score 7-0. Bulldogs recover an onside kick and they make the Broncos pay. Second down, once more again, Goodwin to DeAndre Goodley, bobbled it, brought it down 14-0 Midland. after a Midland field goal. It was shaping up to be a blowout, and they look to their beast of a running back, C.J. Edison, takes it to the house. Now, it turned out to be a lot closer, and you see Odessa High fighting right back to this one to win it 35-30. One of the best teams out in West Texas here has been San Angelo Central, and that's Mickey Scott, their outstanding quarterback, into the end zone. The fade route there for the touchdown. Lorenzo Joe, of course, has had a pretty talented season for Abilene Cooper. Off the play action, nice pass down to the 35-yard line, and then Joe will hand it a Trey Dye. He'll take it up the middle, but Central fights back, and the Bobcats get the win, 31-28 over Cooper.
In the Coastal Bend, 2 district unbeatens between Corpus Christi, Flower Bluff, and Moody. In a good Moody here on 4th and goal from the 5, and that's a great play call, getting it done. But the only problem is it's a pick 6 for 100 yards the other way by Adrian Heinsohn. They get the ball back, though. Tommy Martin with a nice gainer here. A couple plays later, Cody Brewer will hook up with Aaron Dilworth, and that is a touchdown. The Hornets take the lead 18-14 in the end. The Bluff, they win it 53-29, no Bluffs.
And we go to the Panhandle.
So, no, we head over to District 30, Orange Grove, hosting Robstown. And you can see they were all fired up about this one. It's David Rivera hooking up here as the Dogs go down. Nick Loak getting it done, taking it away from the receiver. Got to love that defense. The offense takes advantage off the turnover. Alex Acuna, the cousin of the meteorologist in that market that never gets the forecast right. 43-8, Orange Grove is a winner. I know it's a cheap shot, but I'm not above it.
Up to the Panhandle, where Hereford would take on Plainview, and it's Dane Lowry to Peyton Gonzalez. Nice moves along the sideline, takes it in for the White Faces, and the extra point no good. Hurt on top by a score of 6-0. Then, once more, this time it's Plainview on the strike back. Paxton Oldfield swallowed up by Giovanni Garcia. 6-0 Hereford, and it is Lincoln Zapata taking this one in for the score. Hereford gets the win over Plainview 33-21. Dalhart and Pampa. Dalhart, of course, has been on top of this district a lot of this season. Pampa struggling throughout the year, but still with a shot to get in the playoffs. It's 19-13 in the second quarter. Val Diaz putting in work with a run, and then he sets up Guillermo Davila's 7-yard touchdown run. The Wolves beat the Harvesters 47-20. However, this is a team, Pampa, that has a chance, in fact, a real possibility that they could wind up getting into the playoffs. So you look at the 3A top 10 there, and you see it's pretty much business as usual. The East Texas schools doing their number. Graham outslugs Wichita Falls, Hershey to win 71-39. You still have the 2 defending state champions in Stephenville and Navasota on a roll as they continue to go up. But I want to go back to that Panhandle region a bit and talk about Pampa. Here's a Pampa team that very easily can wind up 1-9 and going into the playoffs at 1-9. You say, how in the world does something like that happen? There's a couple of things to keep in mind. First of all, this is the first year that Class 3A Division I goes to a 64-team bracket. With the current alignment in the UIL structure, you have a lot of schools or several districts that have fewer than 8. Some districts have fewer than 6. This is one that has just 5 teams in the district. And as a result of that, with 4 going to the playoffs, with 2 64-team brackets, that's how you can get a 1-9 in. Yeah. Same thing could happen next week in deep East Texas in District 23A, where you have 2 powers. We saw them on the DQ Big Game of the Week last week, Carthage and Jasper. You know that they're going to get into the playoffs. Center is going to get into the playoffs. There's only 5 schools in that district. So somebody's getting in. It's either going to be Diboll, who is 0-9 right now.
So they'd be 1-9 if they got in.
And
if they beat Huntington, who is 2-7.
That's exactly right. So
how about that?
That's what. Now, I would imagine that what we'll see next year, Rick, is with the new biennial realignment coming around, it's going to fix some of those types of problems from cropping up again because of the new reclassification and realignment that comes out. But it is an oddity. Hadn't happened before, but we could see it happen in 2 cases going into the playoffs.
If you can't get in Class 3A. Coming up next, an explosive DQ Big Game of the Week. Mount Pleasant featuring the best quarterback-receiver combo in East Texas against a playoff contender in Hallsville. Something has got to give. Here's the Beezer.
We are walking into a great one here in East Texas. Hallsville against Mount Pleasant High School. Mount Pleasant just kind of fighting for their playoff lives. You know, Hallsville, they got something to prove.
HHS, we are the best. HHS, we are the best.
They might be the best if they can win tonight, and then again next week it might mean a district championship. But hold on. First things first, they got to get it done tonight. It's Hallsville, it's Mount Pleasant, and it is certainly big enough to be our
DQ, big game of the week.
Lower classification action in the San Antonio area. Navarro on the road to take on those guys. Bandera, the Bulldogs, early on. However, the Panthers on the move, and they give it to Luke Jarashevsky inside the 20-yard line. A couple of plays later, knocking on the door, but the Bandera defense comes up with a big stop at the goal line. So on the first play of the second quarter, Panthers give it to Anthony Grant. The officials say he's in. He is, and Navarro is now 8-1. They beat Bandera 42-21.
In the Brazos Valley, A&M consolidated in Conroe. A&M gets off to the fast start on this one. The opening possession of the game, Kobe Miller time to carry Thomas. And no doubting Thomas is about that. 77-yard touchdown. And the easy score, the Tigers up 7-0. But Conroe would get the equalizer a little bit later on in the first. Tyree Merchant gets the pitch on the option, makes some nifty moves, and he'll find a way to stay on his feet somehow through the spin. He'll go 34 yards to pay dirt, and that would make it 14-7. Everybody's happy. We move on to the second now. The Tigers keeping the ball on the ground, and Brandon Action Jackson will get in from 9 yards out and consolidate it. Rolls 63-19. How about Normandy and Bremond? After 4 to 8 inches of rain on Sunday and another round on Thursday morning at Panther Field, they basically were playing in a swamp. Kevin Morton and Normandy ready to go. They don't care about any wet fields. With the Big Red up 13-0, Cade Gritch airs it out to Evan Sargent, and he doesn't break a stride and waltzes in 46 yards later. The Tigers' ground game was slowed by the wet field, but not their aerial attack. Gritch dug him out of a ditch to Mason Pruitt, who will break a tackle and get past that mean green defense. 56 yards for the score. Bremond stays unbeaten with that one.
Yeah, you talk about teams that deserve to be in the poll. That's one I've been voting on all season long to try to get in the 1A.
Well, get them in. Convince your people.
I'm doing my part.
Okay.
In 2A, all you see these top 10 teams certainly doing their part, including top-ranked East Bernard, a defending state champion. And looking down the list, all those other usual suspects all doing a good job in winning.
Speaking of this classification, Union Grove makes it to the playoffs for the first time in their 46 years. The DQ game coming up next.
You know what I like about Texas? We have a ranch.
Number 22, I'm on camera. Go ahead and shoot.
That's pretty good. KD Cannon and company, they didn't need auto-tone on that one. We expected fireworks in this week's DQ Big Game of the Week in East Texas. Mount Pleasant features the best quarterback-receiver tandem in the Piney Woods. Monty James and Baylor-bound KD Cannon, who's always open above his head. James accounts for over 3,000 yards and 45 touchdowns, while Hallsville has the law firm of Wilder, Tony, and Jones. The injury bug bites, though, the Tigers. Last week, they were dealing with a fifth-string running back, winless in districts, while the Bobcats need a win to get to the playoffs. Tigers tangle with the Bobcats in the DQ Big Game of the Week.
Mount Pleasant, Texas is just that, quite pleasant. A nationally recognized Texas Main Street city. Titus County Courthouse, built in 1850, burned down 3 times, hey, but always built back up. MHS building something special as well. Every sport seeing postseason action last year. The city of Hallsville, established in 1869. Not much has changed, still quite the small town charm. Only thing left of the original Hallsville, though, is this cemetery. Quite fitting for our Halloween week thriller. It is. A 4A school, but up until 2003, just 1 traffic light. But look at these cats now. Hallsville in year 2 of a brand spanking new, gorgeous facility. Bobcat pride alive and well. This this new house, also the home of former Cowboy great Robert Newhouse. Bobcats, bells of the ball in this town, in fact, in numerous sports, with great volleyball success as well.
Only 10 schools a year get to do this. We're the DQ game of the week. Thank you, Scoreboard.
DQ crew proud to be visiting the home of the annual Western Days celebration as they look to celebrate on the gridiron tonight.
Ball BC! Ball BC! Ball BC! Ball BC! Yeah, 1, 2, 3,
Reminds me of my high school days. Oh, yeah, just like my high school days. Hallsville has won 5 of their last 7 and just 1 game off the district lead. Mount Pleasant Tigers, meanwhile, already chewed up.
Sean Isbell, broken wrist. Daniel Craddock, concussion and stitches. Ladarius Craddock, I'm out for the season with torn MCL. AJ Hughes, car wreck, broken collarbone, and a broken back.
6 starters lost for the season with injuries, and all this after a perfect 3-0 start and a number 22 ranking in the state. But the Tigers still have some bite. Check out senior wide receiver K.D. Cannon. A couple weeks ago, wow, this kid already verbal to Baylor, and he's a stud. And a lot of ills can be cured with a win tonight.
Y'all coming through. Y'all 22. Y'all on camera. Go ahead and shoot. Y'all 22. He is a joke. Put him in the booth. How we get caught. Here we go. It's the boy K.D. Cannon. I want to see it. I'm trying to fire. In the eye. Can't see me. Rocking on the beat. Hitting every day of the week.
First half, McKaylin Wilder and Jamel Young hook up for 1 TD, and then this.
Throws it out to Young, and he's down the sideline again. It looks like he's going to go 40.
Young already 100 yards receiving. 14-0 Bobcats mid-first. Mount Pleasant gets 1 back, and then Cannon grabs 1 on defense. This interception sets up 6. It's 14-all. But Hallsville's Wilder goes wild here. Nice scramble. He goes in for the go-ahead score. 21-14, hometown Bobcats at the break.
Keep playing, keep plugging, go fight for the win. It's not going to be easy. They're too good. You got too many great players. You got to fight for this win. You got me? Everybody in this room's got to give it everything you got and finish this game out. Come on, man, everybody in. Let's go. It's going to be great. It's what you work for. It's the reason you practice. It's the reason we've been here since day 1.
Halftime speech worked. Hallsville, 62 yards in 7 plays. Wilder, 6 touchdowns, 3 passing, and this, one of his 3 rushing, 28-14. But cannonball coming. Check this out. KD, the sick, nasty, one-handed grab. Oh, my cow.
I can't believe he caught that.
He finished the night with 10 catches, 204 yards, this touchdown, and his INT, 35-28. Wounded Tigers still within reach. But Hallsville feels the need for Sneed.
Right up the middle, he breaks loose. He's at the 30, the 25-20, he's gone.
Khalil Sneed, 45 of his 160 yards rushing. Ballgame, 56-35 your final. The Ville feeling the playoff thrill.
Hey, you're in the playoffs. Great job. Proud of y'all guys. We didn't want to go into next week having to win it. This was a game we needed to win, and we did. Now we're in a situation, we go play the last week of the season for the district championship. That's what you want to do when you start the season.
We're going to grind hard in practice to try to go even further. Who knows how many rounds we might go. We might just surprise everybody.
And end up in AT&T's Cowboys Stadium at the end of the year?
I hope so.
Were you tired of hearing the name KD Cannon at all?
Oh, yeah. He's a good player, though. He's a real good player. But, hey, we stopped him, though. Got to win out. He's a beast, I'm not going to lie. And we just knew we had to D him up pretty good if we were going to win this game. Try to double cover him. We just did our best, and we went out there and got the job done.
Hey, the Tigers scratched and clawed tonight, but in the end, the top dog was Bobcats tonight. For producer Clark Rowe and photographer Jeff Irwin, I'm Neil Beasley with your DQ. Big game of the week.
Thanks, Beezer. Great stuff. We'll wrap up the regular season with DQ in the Battle of the Alamo City. Huge implications on the line. The rivalry war to settle the score. Back with more after this.
It's quiz time at the Built Ford Tough Sales Event. What truck's been number 1 36 years straight? Hint, this ain't multiple choice. It's Ford out of
High School Scoreboard Live is brought to you by Ford F-Series, America's best-selling truck for 36 straight years. By Dairy Queen for the best tasting treats, eats, and drinks in Texas. DQ just tastes better. And by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
To the 21st edition of the Bird Bowl between Harlingen and Harlingen South. South with the ball, and that's Jadon Taylor getting stripped. Adrian Vasquez getting it done, and that would lead to a Harlingen touchdown, 7-0. Then the Cards behind Brandon Garza taking over. That's the touchdown. Look at Garza here. He'll scramble 8 yards for the score. Harlingen leads it 14-0 after one. Garza again in the second. This one 13 yards out. And then how about the South behind Sean Montemayor? He will fling it. That would cut it to 21-14, but Harlingen's defense is optimistic, and they get it done. They had 3 interceptions in the game. Hayden Flores with 3 of them, and they win.
Week 10 next week. I always say it's one of the most exciting nights of the year because you open up the playoff package to see who's in, who's out, and why it all happened the way it did.
We're keeping score here. We had the Hippos, the Scorpions, the Cotton Pickers, and the White Faces on the show tonight. Great stuff for Craig Way. I'm Rick Renner and producer Chris Schneider. We'll see you next week on High School Scoreboard Live. Have a great weekend.